Hey everybody, it's Matt Willis here. Welcome back to On The Men, the show that looks back to move forward. Today's conversation is all about social media. Now, I want to start, this is not an anti-social media rant, right? But a conversation about what it's doing to our mental health, self-worth, and recovery journeys. Who's up next week? Follow us to find out. Watch wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be honest, I felt really unsure about doing this episode. I think the reason I want to speak about this right now is because it's affecting me right now. I'll be as open as I can. I've been really affected the last couple of weeks by what I've seen online. And it's made a massive impact in my day-to-day life, which I was quite surprised by because I've always felt like I've got a bit of a filter, and I can watch something and it doesn't necessarily, I don't have to carry that with me. But I feel like recently something has shifted in the world and especially on social media, and the stuff that I'm seeing out there is really affecting my mental health. And I don't know about you, please let me know if what I'm about to talk about and what you have been seeing recently is affecting you, because I really feel like something's changing. I think the thing about social media, right, is that it's a proper double-edged sword, because on one side it can be incredible. It connects us. It lets us see people that we haven't seen for a while or something that we're really interested in. We can learn more about it. It gives us community like this one. Like this one is a very active community on the social media. And I enjoy connecting with you on social media. So I really enjoy that connection. But then there's this other side, right? Which is the endless scrolling, the comparison, the trolls, the pressure to look like you've got it all together, even when you haven't. And now the algorithms are feeding us stuff we didn't necessarily ask for or search out. And I feel like it can really drag you down without you realizing it. I don't know how the algorithm picks what to show me, but I've been shocked by what it's shown me recently. And that's what I find so confusing, because if I'm honest, up until very recently, a lot of it was golf. Like obviously, I watched and searched a lot of golf stuff. So lots of mine was swing stuff, different clubs, kind of things like that. I loved it, love looking through golf videos. But in the last couple of weeks, I felt such a shift into what I'm being served. And what I worry about was I was like, what have I been watching that's made the algorithm serve me this? And what am I actively searching that's giving it to me? Or is there something else happening? I don't think it's a conspiracy, because I don't believe that's the case either. I believe we're just getting served something and other people are sharing it, and people maybe we know are sharing it, so it gets put to us, or whatever that is. But I have noticed a real change and a real shift to the point where I'm ready to put this thing down for a long time, because I don't want to feel like this anymore. Recently, I have scrolled upon some of the darkest stuff I've ever seen. Why does anybody need to see that? We know it's happened, it could be reported about, but to actually physically watch it happen in real time, I think what worries me the most is that I'm a 42-year-old man. I've had a bit of time on the earth, I've been through some shit, and I should be able to remove myself from that, or go, oh, that's their point of view, that's their point of view, blah, 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 blah. But I'm affected by that. I've been massively affected by that. It's really kind of made me really think about things that I didn't necessarily want to think about, or that I have to have an opinion on something that I've never had to have an opinion on before, and that I also don't want to have an opinion on. And I'm a 42-year-old man. My kids want this in their pocket. Our kids are seeing this shit on their phones that are in their pockets, or their mates send them something and it's being suddenly on their phone or in their pocket. And that is terrifying, because before you know it, they're getting opinions from people that you have no influence over. And that's what really worries me. I think we have to remember, right, that the stuff we're seeing is not Game of Thrones. This isn't some political drama that we're watching. We're not watching The West Wing. This is real life shit that's happening right now on the earth, sometimes very close to where we live. And it's so intense, and it scares me. This isn't drama. This is real life. This is what's going on. And when I walk around, right, I don't necessarily see that. Like, I see bits of it, I see glimpses of it, but because I've been fed an algorithm that tells me to look for these bits of it, when I actually meet someone, chat to them, I have a kind of nice interaction. Then suddenly I get fed something on the algorithm, tells me about something. I see a flag or I see someone talking about something, and I'm like, I'm involved in this thing. And I'm like, oh, wait. When actually, people that I meet are lovely, and people that I talk to in my day to day life, and people that I rock up to are pretty pleasant people. And I'm being fed that that's not the world that I live in. I'm being fed that we are all hating each other and all we want is violence upon each other. When actually, that's not my day-to-day interaction. That's not the things that I'm dealing with. I know I'm probably living in a privileged position where I don't have to deal with that, but I'm walk around everywhere. I go everywhere, and I don't see that much. I think what's so weird about it is that it feels a bit uncontrollable right now. This venom, this kind of like this hatred is being thrust upon us, and we are not actively searching it, but it's just there whenever we open our phone, whenever we flick through something. There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. And when I think back to lockdown, right, and I think back to COVID times, it was our choice whether or not we searched it out, or like if I decided about a couple of months into that experience that I was going to take the news off my phone, and I wasn't going to watch Boris chat at a certain part of the day. I can't remember when it was, 3:00 or something. I was going to stop those chats, stop doing that, and I was just going to try and live my life the best way I could for the position that we were in. And that's what I did, and things got a bit easier and a bit less heavy. Whereas now, I'm not locked in my house, but it feels like I'm locked in this thing. And this world that this device seems to be showing me, that looks scary and aggressive and horrible, and kind of, what's the point? I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in this world. And so I think it's about time I did something about it, which it comes back to the Serenity prayer for me, which is like, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Ever feel like you're burning the candle at every end? That was me on tour, back-to-back shows, brutal travel, barely any recovery time. And let's face it, I'm not 25 anymore. I mean, my body was like, mate, what are you doing? So before the next leg, I switched things up and started taking Vitals by Heights. Just 2 capsules a day, packed with 20 essential nutrients for brain and body, omega-3s, B vitamins, D3, all the good stuff. I mean, Heights has massively transformed the way I tour. I used to have trouble sleeping, not be able to fall asleep, be wide awake for hours, or fall asleep, wake up in the middle of the night, not be able to get back to sleep, then have to do a whole new day the next day, feeling pretty groggy. Vitals has changed that for me. This isn't some gimmick brand either. Heights is formulated by doctors, backed by science, and trusted by elite performers. There are literally thousands of 5-star reviews to go along with it, right? If you want to simplify your routine and feel your best, head to heights.com/OTM and use the code OTM20 for 20% off your first subscription. Trust me, you'll feel the difference. Hi guys, just want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of today's episode. They are London Nootropics. Now they've got a few different adaptogenic coffee blends, which I love. And basically what I love about them the most is that each one of them fits into a different part of my day. Take Flow Coffee, right? When I'm sat down prepping for guests for a podcast and I've got pages of research in front of me, my head's all over the place, Flow is what helps me lock in. It gives me that clear focus without feeling scattered. Then there's Zen Coffee. I have this when I'm coming off stage from a gig, right? My adrenaline is through the roof. Zen gives me calming energy. It just helps me feel chilled, focused, and balanced again. No jitters. If you're sensitive to caffeine, this is the one for you. And finally, Mojo Coffee. That's one I'll grab before a workout, right? This is my best friend. It's all natural ingredients, and it just gives me that extra bit of strength and stamina without any junk you'd find in an energy drink. For me, London Nootropics isn't just coffee, right? It's become part of how I manage my energy through the day, helping me get the most out of it with the best-in-class ingredients. If you're interested, head to londonnootropics.com and check them out. I cannot change these things. I'm not capable of making people make friends and everyone be cool with each other, right? But I can make actions for my life to make my situation better. And that is, I can stop consuming this shit. I feel like over the last year or so, it's just become more and more part of my everyday life to go on this thing. I remember when, Liam Payne died and there was all that going on and it was just everywhere. And for me, I took that shit quite hard because I've been in that kid's position and it felt a bit close to home for me. And I was like, man, what would my family have felt like if they were seeing all this every day? And that was me, and it felt really, really heavy for me. And I'm feeling that again times 1,000 right now. And I feel like it's being weaponized against us to make us form an opinion to join some kind of gang. And I don't want to be in a gang. I want to be able to not have an opinion on things I don't want to have an opinion on. There's parts of people that I meet and friends that I have that have very strong political views that I go, shut up. I like you. I don't necessarily agree with you on that thing, but, let's just be mates, and I want to live like that. And I know it's a bit, is it ignorant? Probably, but ignorance is bliss sometimes. And we don't have to join this. We don't have to join in. And I feel like right now I'm being forced to. It's pissing me off. I will caveat this with the fact that I feel massive guilt because I feel like I should be educated on this subject. And that makes me feel shit too. Does this come down to the amount of information we are being fed? So if you think about it, right, nowhere in history was anybody getting as much information as quickly as we are getting it, sometimes in real time. And we're getting so much information from so many different places. It's informing us whether we like it or not. And that's not okay, because sometimes I don't want to be. I feel like I'm in a bit of a lose-lose situation right now when it comes to social media and the algorithm. So however much part of me is like, well, do you know what? I'm just going to get rid of them for a while. I kind of don't want to do that either. I don't want to have to just throw the baby out with the bathwater in a way. I want to be able to treat this. I've done that before. I've removed myself from social media a few times in my life. And it's a good experiment. I advise it. It's a very good experiment to do. And maybe I will do that for a month or so and just kind of remove myself from the situation and go back in. But there's a few other things which I'm going to be practicing, seeing how they go. And I'll check in with you to show you how they're going before I just go, right, I just need to get rid of this for a while. Right, if I find something shocking online, I don't show it to a friend in person, right? I do not boost it online. I do not send it around. I do not share that shit. I kind of see it, and unfortunately, I saw that. No one else needs to. I've disabled autoplay, which I did not realize you could do. There's a little thing, you can turn it off. So therefore, when that video finishes, it doesn't show me another horrible one afterwards, and you get in this rabbit hole of horrible shit. Turn that off. So then I just find something else to watch. What's so good about disabling autoplay is you actually physically have to press play on it. You don't just flick and it shows you, because you can scroll and before you know it, you've seen something you really wish you hadn't. Whereas if you disable that, you actively have to press play on the video to watch it. You can see what you're about to watch before you decide whether or not you want to watch that. I advise that. Also, wait 24 hours before taking something as fact, right? Facts settle, humanity returns. I think that's really important, because otherwise we can get fed something, watch it and go, that's it. Whereas actually, is that fact? Let's wait for a little while before we form an opinion on that. I think the most important one, which is something which I think we can really forget about, is that there's always a human in this story, which we can just ignore. We can just see it as news, or see it as something clickbaity, or see it as something shocking. But there's a person. Every victim has a name, a family, and a story beyond that clip that you're watching. That's what I think affects me so much. Is I really feel for that family. Even from both sides of the story. The person that's had something awful happen to them. Also the family of the person that did that awful stuff. They've got to live with that forever. This is all, no one wins in these situations. It's all horrible. There's been a few times in my life where I've had this on the other side. I've been the one on the receiving end of a video or a picture or something or a story that goes around, and people that I know have experienced that. And it's not very nice. It's not, it's 9 times out of 10 utter bullshit as well. But that stuff spreads. And before you know it, people take that as verbatim. I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's horrible. It sucks. But once the story's out there, it's out there, and people don't care about the retraction. They just care about, oh, what's that about? Oh, click that. Oh, he did what? What a scumbag. Whereas they don't care about the fact that, oh, that wasn't true, or that was taken out of context, or that was just a scandalous headline for you to click on it, and actually the story's bullshit. So I've had that in the past, and it's not only hard for you, it's hard for everyone around you. And people forget that when they're writing these stories, because all they care about is clickbait. All they care about is you clicking on it. And that's what I see when I see these things. I'm like, oh, people want me to click on that, when actually the story probably isn't living up to the headline that you're about to click on. That's called clickbait, and it works really bloody well because we all do it. So I think that's why this is so important, is us as users of the technology learn these skills, like learn what these things are about, so we don't dehumanize these things and become part of this algorithm. Right, so obviously I said what I'm thinking about doing, but also I've done some things in the past which have really worked for me when it comes to social media and kind of protecting myself around this world. And they are setting boundaries, right? So I always say I don't get on that thing in bed. I don't sit on my phone in bed. Sometimes I have. But most of the time, I don't have my phone on me scrolling before bedtime. And if I ever do, Emma tells me off, which is really helpful. Sometimes you need someone around you to go, oi, pull you up on it, which can piss you off because you're like, well, you're on your phone. Well, you're on your phone. But that kind of like having boundaries. And also, if you're living with someone, set boundaries for each other, because there's nothing like being pulled up on it that can really piss you off enough to go, oh, yeah, actually, I'm doing that. You know, nothing pisses me off more when Emma tells me off for being on my phone. But it's because it's true. It's bloody true. So that's a really good boundary to have. Another one is deleting apps during certain periods, which I think is really, really important. For me, I have deleted most social media apps at different times. And sometimes I just get a bit overwhelmed by it, or I just have enough of it. And I think for a little bit, there's Dr. Anna Lemke talks about this kind of like reset, where she says, whatever you're finding, if you're getting into an addictive pattern with something, for instance, I go on social media, I come off not feeling very good. Why do I then go back for more of it if it doesn't feel very good? That's probably some kind of form of addiction going on, right? And she says you can reset your brain patterns to any form of addiction within 30 days to have a more healthy relationship with that thing. So it obviously differs when you get to physical addiction. That's a very different thing. You need to be weaned off that, and you might never be able to use that substance ever again. But when it comes to things like social media, you can retrain your brain to have a better relationship with something in 30 days if you abstain from that thing for 30 days. So if you're having a problem with social media, delete the app for 30 days, go back to it, set some rules about it, and try that thing again. But you can really, if you try to set rules tomorrow, you go, right, I'm only going to go on it for 20 minutes a day. Good bloody luck, right? Because we're in a pattern of it, and you're not going to be able to do that. I just promise you're not going to be able to do it. If you go, right, 30 days, I'm going to have none of it, I'm going to abstain from it, then I'm going to go back in and say, right, I'm only allowed this 1 hour a day. Bosh. I bet you can do that. You'll have much more of a chance. It's a really good experiment. The next one is being intentional with what you post, right? I have those 3 questions. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me now? That's what I think about when I'm posting something. Do I need to post this? Do I need to say this? Do I need to go out of my way to have an opinion on someone else's post? The answer is 9 times out of 10, no. No, you don't. I don't know. The thing is, when I think about what people do on social media, I sometimes get really horrible things written to me on social media. I don't encourage this, by the way, so please don't. But I sometimes get really horrible things written to me. I'm like, who are you? Like, what kind of person? I don't know anyone in my life. Do you know anyone in this building who would go, I'm going to sit there and write well, you're an ugly prick. Like, who are these people? And if you can get to the mindset where you read it and go, mate, what's wrong with you to have to post that? That's a really healthy place to be. And that's where I am now. If I get something negative, I don't take it on board as about me. I think it's much more a reflection about the person who's typing that than it is about me. But sometimes that's harder than others because sometimes they get it spot on. It really digs you in the heart. But yeah, it's a funny little world we live in right now. But take it with a pinch of salt if you can. The next one is cleaning up your social media feed, right? If you're seeing stuff which you don't like, if you're seeing someone post stuff which makes you cross, if you're seeing someone who is not influencing your life in a good way, bin them off. It's really easy. Unfollow, block, all this kind of stuff is there for you to do that. You don't have to follow this person. You don't have to see their stuff. And you can actually actively turn their thing off so it's never shown to you again. I've done that so many times, but I still follow thousands of people, bizarrely. And I don't know how. Like, every time I check on how many people I'm following, I'm like, how come I'm following all these people? I think it's because it's out of politeness. If I like one of their posts, I press follow because it's a nice thing to do. Remember to follow and subscribe. There's a lot of people in this space who are actually doing really, really good things when it comes to social media and your mental health. There's a bloke who I am really, really fond of, and his name's TJ Power. We'll link to him on the show notes, but I really rate him and I really rate what he's talking about. I think he's someone who's giving out really good information. So if you can, go and check out TJ Power on all your social media channels, and he'll probably tell you to turn them off. But he's a good bloke. Check him out. I think a really interesting way to look at this, which the whole reason why this episode happened is because of this, really. Go on social media for 20 minutes, come off it, and go, how do I feel? Do I feel better or do I feel worse? If you feel better, cool. If you feel slightly worse, or at any point in that 20 minutes you felt a bit crap, then maybe you want to look at your relationship with it and go, do I need this in my life? What am I doing this for? And why am I doing it? If it's feeding you, keep doing it. If you're getting fed stuff you don't want, then bin it off. So this is where shit gets weird. Because if you found this episode about social media useful in some way, please like, subscribe, and follow us, because that really helps. Fucking hell, what world are we living in? But
it will feed more of this to the algorithm.
You're right. It's exactly the thing. Yeah. Exactly. If you found this interesting, you will get served more shit like this, and more stuff that will possibly help you, rather than awful, tragic shit which makes you feel terrible about yourself. And that's what this is all about, right? And if you did like this and you got something out of it, please share it with someone, because it just might be what they need to see right now, because they might be feeling like I am about all this stuff and maybe need to change their relationship with stuff. How about at some point we might do a little bit of a challenge together, and we might go, do you know what? We're going to all drop socials for 7 days. How do you feel about that? So maybe in the coming months, we're going to go, right, we're going to put a message out. We're all dropping socials for 7 days. I don't want to hear from you for 7 days of how it's going, because that defeats the object. But then we'll go, right, in 7 days, we'll all come back and we'll express how we felt during those 7 days without social media. How does that sound? Sound a cool experiment? Don't know, just made it up. We'll see.
Social media manager is very angry with
Social media manager is so pissed off at me. She's like, what do you mean 7 days?
You're fired.
Yeah, absolutely. See you later, Willis. But maybe I think it might be an interesting thing. And then we can come back and post loads of positive shit, which would be great. Social media, yes. Hey guys, just remember, if you or someone you know is struggling, you're not alone. There's help out there, and we've listed some very trusted support services in the show notes. Please go take a look. Guys, look after yourself. Mental health is wealth.